What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Wrestle Bomb, where we don't break the news, but we break the news down. And apparently, there's a lot going on in the AEW women's division right now. And it seems to be because there's not a lot going on in the AEW women's division right now. Or is this because somebody is just trying to stir up drama in the AEW locker room? We're hearing a lot of different stories from a lot of different people, so we gotta talk about it. But first, shout out to each of you guys who came over from the main channel. This channel will have its own look. It's going to have its own graphics, but you guys are very early and I appreciate that. I'm hoping to have everything done by next week, but we'll see. Now, this channel will be a lot more interactive, starting with Summerslam. After the show, I will be doing a live podcast where I talk to you guys and we all give our opinions on what happened at the show. So if you haven't already, make sure you smash that subscribe button and let's have some fun, starting right now.
Run, boy, they coming on.
All right, strap in, everybody, because this is going to be a wild ride. We have Lufisto here, and I'll be honest with y'all, I never heard of this woman, but she's making some big, bold claims here in a thread that has 2.1 million views. That doesn't look good for AEW and Tony Khan in particular, and I'll tell you why. Here's what she had to say. Had a 1-hour phone call with the current AEW talent. The women who actually addressed the problems I did today were the ones sent home by Tony Khan. There was a meeting to shoot on Thunder Rosa that Khan attended. We gotta stop right there. There is absolutely no way the owner of this multi-million-dollar wrestling company is standing in a meeting where their employees are planning to shoot on each other. If this is anywhere near true, then AEW is not going to be around for the long run. You can't lead a team if you're letting the players go out there and hurt each other on purpose. And can they even hurt her? Because from what I understand, Thunder Rosa is trained in MMA. So if they go out there and try to shoot on her, that might not end how they expect it to. I think the only other trained woman on the roster who might be able to stand up to her is Ty Mello. And she's pregnant, so she most likely wasn't even involved in this, but that's just one part of this whole story that I hope's not true. Now, I know Thunder Rosa has had problems with the women in the past, but for them to stand back there and plan to shoot on her, that's just ridiculous, especially if Tony Khan was in the room. Let's see what else she had to say. Before leaving, he reminded them that their segments were the lowest. Whew. When some girls arranged a meeting to talk about Britt's crew, one of them ran to Britt and let her know the girls that wanted to address the problem were the ones punished. Things didn't get better, they got worse. So it sounds like her big problem is the fact that there's a group of women who don't like Britt Baker's crew, but Britt Baker's crew is at the top of the totem pole, and if you mess with Baker's crew, then you go to the grinder. Now, I have read those stories about Britt Baker before. Of course, these are all rumors because we're not backstage, but if you think back to WWE, you might remember John Cena and Alex Riley. Alex Riley had a lot of promise. I thought that guy was going to the top, but he did something to John Cena, and he was immediately up out of there. It sounds like Britt Baker is in that same position in AEW. If you're a woman and you mess with Britt Baker, you go to the grinder. Let's see what else she had to say. The legitimate wrestlers believe Tony doesn't give a damn about women's wrestling and they feel like they are going back to the Divas era. I don't see that at all. Now, they don't put a lot of attention on the women's division. As we can just see, what just happened on the 200th episode of AEW Dynamite, they had a title switch, but there was no build behind that title change. You would never see that in the men's division. MJF would never lose his world championship to Swerve Strickland on a random episode of AEW Dynamite, no matter how credible he is, especially with no build. So the fact that he allegedly told these women that their segments are the lowest is just insane to me, because while they do have to deliver, the segments are the lowest because you're not booking them well. You got to give them the material to go out there and perform. So if they are the lowest, then that reflects more on you. But to be fair, there have been problems when it comes to booking the men and the women in AEW. The only difference is the women only get one segment per week to perform. So when that segment goes bad, it does make it look wrong for the whole division. But I actually wouldn't mind a return to the Divas era. Jade Cargill, Sky Blue, bra and panties match. Book it. Let's see what else she had to say. Ask me who the I am. Tell me I'm irrelevant and that I'm doing this for attention. Call me a liar. Tell me to myself. You keep closing your eyes and supporting human beings with bad behavior. With the messages of support and especially this phone call I received from AEW employees, this nobody did the right thing. So really just a closing statement there, but my question is, who is this woman and why did this mysterious AEW employee call her over anybody else? Was the plan for her to get this story out? Because if it was, we started at 2.1 million views, now it's at 2.2 million views. So her voice is definitely being heard. And now let's check out some of the responses, and these were compiled by WWE Real One. Let's start off with Taya Valkyrie, who's fairly new to the company. This narrative that all the AEW women hate each other is quite frankly annoying. I've been there for 5 months and everyone from the second I walked in that building has been nothing but supportive, hyping each other up and bad. Stop pitting women against each other, it's getting old. So Taya Valkyrie, again, she is pretty new there, and she says this narrative that all AEW women hate each other. So some of them might hate each other, but not all of them. Next, we got Renee Paquette. We have an incredible women's division that all look out for and support each other. I've never seen it be anything other than a safe space for a bunch of kick women that all want to see each other and all of AEW shine to their fullest potential. Women hating women is a real dusty take. Let's take a look at the next one. We got Ty Mello. I never saw a group like ours. It makes me mad that people try to say things they don't know anything about it. Keep talking because we will keep working hard and shining. And Ty Mello continued, I'm pregnant. I'm going to see a high-risk doctor. I'm going through a lot. Going to AEW makes me happy. The whole locker room makes me feel loved. They listen to me. They support me. Last Wednesday, Ruby gave me a big hug and told me how proud she is and reminded me how strong I am. Shout out to Ty Mello. Hopefully everything's going good with her pregnancy. High-risk pregnancies are not fun, so hopefully everything's going smooth for her. And last but not least, we got a response from the AEW champion himself. If you listen to miserable people who never made it in this sport, that's not exactly the brightest thing to do. Use your brain. If someone's been in professional wrestling for over a decade and you find them to be talented, but they've never truly panned out, there's a reason for it. Lack of talent, difficulty to work with, delusional, just to name a few. People love to talk ill of companies and will say things like, I'm the only one brave enough to speak up, when in reality, the only reason you're spewing BS is because you are aware deep down that you aren't going to make it. So what's the harm in spewing reckless lies and trying to hurt hardworking, talented people on your way down to obscurity? Whew. We have an amazing women's locker room. Sorry, not sorry. Statements like this show that MJF can represent this company very well. Now, it was a bit harsh, and that woman was talking about hurting herself, so hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But this was a very good statement because you need to get your AEW champion in front of things like this. Even though it has nothing to do with the men on the roster, MJF making this statement was a really good move. But before we get out of here, we gotta check Britt Baker's response because she has since made one. Someone asked Britt Baker, in Thunder Rosa, are the claims that you wanted to shoot on her true? Is Lufisto lying about that? Is what she said true or false? Britt Baker responded, false. Thunder called the meeting to discuss multiple/personal issues. There was no meeting to shoot on her. These are salacious Twitter rumors. I'm sure when she's ready, she can help clarify. Now, it's good that they are not being silent on this issue because as we saw, that tweet got 2.2 million views, and that's a lot. These statements don't make AEW look good at all, but the wrestlers coming together to fight against these statements kind of helps it out a bit. Now, we hear all the positive responses. Every response is not going to be positive. The bad part is when the people who have those negative responses don't say anything, kind of looks like damage control. Let me know what y'all think about this story so far because as you can see, we are waiting on a response from Thunder Rosa and it is still progressing. Thank y'all for tuning into this video. Don't forget to drop a like on it and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. WrestleBomb. Let's get to that.